Alright guys, sit a while and listen. This is an update to my Gears of Dreadlands Gears of Destruction Demon Hunter. Normally, I would wear the 6-piece set, getting the full benefits of the 2, 4, and 6 pieces. I wear that in conjunction with a Hunter's Wrath belt. That gives me a 200% increase to my damage. And then, of course, I would also wear the Wraps of Clarity to get a 50% damage reduction. Along with that, I wear a Dawn, in this case a primal one, so I have perfect cooldown on it, as well as perfect primary stats. I also normally wear Avala's Bequest. This is a really good one. I'm getting good cooldown, getting good dexterity, getting good hatred regeneration and strafe damage. I then also will wear the Bastions of Will, so Focus and Restraint here, which gives me a 50% increased damage with resource generating attacks and a 50% increase to damage with resource spending attacks. So the two attacks that I'm taking meet both of those. We're using Strafe and Hungering Arrow, so you're constantly getting the 50% from both of these. In this case, that's basically a 100% increase to damage. And then, of course, I use a Squirt's Necklace for another 100% boost to my damage, risking the 50% damage that I take if I get hit. In conjunction with that, in the cube, we're using the Series Satchel, 600% damage increase to Hungering Arrow. We're wearing the Depth Diggers for the 100%. And then I use the Elusive Ring in conjunction with the Smokescreen spell in order to get my damage reduction, 80% reduction there. The other skills that I'm taking here are Strafe, Rocket Storm. We're using the Bat Companion to keep our hatred regeneration up. I use the Vengeance Starkheart because it gives me a 50% damage reduction as well as a 40% damage increase. And you can also see that it does some other extra damage. The biggest thing here is we're using the 40% increase to damage and the 50% damage reduction. Those are the big things here. I use Bladed Armor because it's another 40% additional damage reduction for 6 seconds. And the cooldown is fast enough right now where that's pretty much always getting casted. And then, of course, we're taking Hungering Arrow for the 70% damage increase that you get with each consecutive pierce. The idea there being is you want to have enough trash mobs around your elites to where you're firing through the trash, piercing those 4 times, hopefully with the 5th time hitting the elite and doing massive amounts of damage. Now, I recently made some changes. I've been playing around here with various different sets, trying out the Guardian setup, trying out the Argyle setup, and then trying out just like different gem combos or different jewelry combos. In this case, like on this 4th attempt here, I put on the Convention of Elements. I just didn't feel like it was getting it. But then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, why am I not trying the Mantle of Channeling? So I kept on Kadala-ing shoulders until I got me some Mantles of Channeling. I ended up getting 2 of them in a single shot. One of them had the 25% increase to the damage, and then the other one had a 23% increase to damage. Now, overall, the one with 23% on it had better dexterity, vitality. It gave me more cooldown, and then it increased area damage. But I chose to wear the lesser of the 2 pairs because it gave me the 25 and 25. And that to me was more important, to have the 25% increased damage as opposed to the better dexterity, vitality, and everything else. At least for the time being. Now, I tested this run, ran a couple of 115 greater rifts, and beat them in 7 minutes or less. So I beat them in half the time that you're given to beat a rift. And so that lets me know this is a very powerful build. It works out really, really well. And I am able to probably push myself and go a little bit higher, maybe even go up to a 120 GR. Now, because I put the Mantle of Channeling shoulders on, that took away from the Gears of Dreadlands set. So to get my 6-piece set back, I had to put a Ring of Royal Grandeur on. My problem there then was I was losing a lot of damage reduction because I was no longer able to use the elusive ring with the smokescreen. So I was like, man, if only I had a Vala's Bequest, or a Fortress Ballista, that I could wear. So my problem is I had a Fortress Ballista, but it was a crafted primal. And I couldn't use it because I was already using a crafted primal Dawn. And you can only wear one crafted primal at a time. So I started thinking, well, what if I took that crafted primal and reforged it into a legendary? Would it give me any good stats? So why not? I couldn't wear it anyway. Might as well try. So I went ahead and put the Fortress Ballista into the cube, did the Reforged Legendary spell, and bam, this is what I got. Pretty good on the dexterity, pretty good on area damage, which I'm not too stressed about. It does reduce all my resource costs by 9%. I think I'm going to go see the Mystic and maybe change that to a cooldown if I can, because I'm not too worried about resources. This build manages resources very well. So hopefully we'll get a little bit better cooldown. But the big thing is I got the 3% absorb shield. And so that's the whole key to this particular weapon is you get a shield that absorbs damage. In this case, it's a perfect 3%. It stacks up 10 times. That's a 30% damage reduction. So while I lost an 80% damage reduction overall between the Fortress Ballista and the Mantle of Channeling, I gained back 55% of that 80% that I lost. So in reality, I only lost a 25% damage reduction. So I'm okay with that. To make up for that damage reduction, of course, I am using Vengeance Darkheart, which gives me a huge boost to damage reduction and bladed armor here. But now, since I wasn't using the spell in conjunction with the elusive ring for the smokescreen, I decided I got to do something with this number 1 key. So I went ahead and I put Preparation Punishment on there for better management of the resources, just to make sure I do have enough hatred. And then I swapped my Bat Companion out to a Wolf Companion. And that seems to do really, really, really well. So overall, this has been a very good build for me so far. So then I started thinking, well, if I was able to do the Fortress Ballista reforging, could I do that again with a Mantle of Channeling and maybe get a better Mantle of Channeling? So I did just that. I took the 23% Mantle of Channeling and crafted it as a primal. And as you can see, it has really, really good stats. But of course, I cannot wear it. If I try to put it on, it tells me you cannot equip more than one of this item. And of course, the one of this item that they're referring to is a crafted primal. And you can always tell the difference between your crafted primals and your regular primals. They have a much, much darker red-orange kind of background to them. Here are some regular primals that were naturally found. As you can see, they're a little bit darker of an orange than a legendary is here. And then, of course, crafted ones have more red in them. So now the idea here is I'm going to come down to my Kanai cube, and we are going to go to the Reforged Legendary spell, the Law of Kool, or Cool, however we say his name. I am going to put that in there, fill it, make sure I have enough materials, and then I'm just going to transmute and see what happens. See if we get a better version. Oh, we did not. It took us right back down to the original legendary that it was. That did not happen with the Fortress Ballista. I got a much better one. So maybe we'll try to craft it again. I was really hoping that there was a bit of a trick to where, and I don't have enough materials, to where you can get a primal legendary, reforge it, and it would become a better ancient legendary or a better legendary. Apparently, that's not a trick. It doesn't work, but we gave it a shot. So I'll go ahead and set this guy to the side. We may keep trying to reforge him down the road. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to improve the cooldown, because right now my overall cooldown is only sitting at 29%. And that's because I took off my shoulders for my 6-piece set. So in this case, I don't need resource cost reduction. I need cooldown. So hopefully I can get me an 8% cooldown here. So we're just going to keep going as long as we have the materials to do it with. Oh, we got a resource cooldown of 5%, so let's see if we can change that to an 8%. Resources, we're not worried about resources, we're worried about cooldown. We got cooldown of 5% again. Cooldown 7%. I would like to get an 8%, but I'll take a 7%. Let's give it a few more tries here. Again, we just want to get that 29% up. And currently it's sitting at 34.08, which will give us a 99% cooldown rate. If we could just get that 1 more percent, we could be at a 40% cooldown. And a 40% cooldown will make sure that we have a 100% uptime on Vengeance, which is what we're trying to do here. So let's see if we can just... we're going to start running out of veiled crystals. That's okay. Let's keep going. Keep going. Reduce cooldown of 7%. You just keep giving me that 7%, don't you? Come on, give me that 8%. Give me that 8%. All right. It looks like we're going to be stuck with a 7%. I don't want to keep going. I don't want to sit there and risk it. A 39 or a 34% with the 65%, so 99% cooldown rate. That's pretty good. Let's try it here. Can we get a cooldown here? Yes, we can. Again, I'm not too worried about resource, because my resources are pretty well managed. So we're just looking for cooldown. If I take that cooldown, that puts me at 38%. That pushes me above where I need to be. Ooh, now we got a 9% cooldown. Let's take that. There we go. 40% cooldown, 65%. That's a 105% cooldown rate. I don't think you can ask for anything better than that. So let's go show how this guy runs on a 100. Well, we'll do a regular rift because I don't have enough rift stones to do a greater rift. Now this particular build, this setup, it crushes your typical T16s. I don't have any problems other than maybe with a standard T16 level. If you're doing some farming, bounties, things like that, you may want to switch the Vengeance from Darkheart to Seethe in order to maintain your hatred, because you still do run out kind of quickly if there's not enough enemies to fight against. And then maybe swap out to the Bat for a little bit more hatred. So in this case, that's pretty much what I've done here. I'm going to switch the Vengeance over to the Seethe. I've already got the Bat Companion. That should help me with my hatred regeneration here. And then I'm just going to run through this rift. And you're going to see it's just going to crush it pretty easily. Now, the way I work my keys is I use the space bar with my thumb to hold my character still, and then right trigger to make him strafe. On the right side mouse, that's my strafing. My left mouse is my Hungering Arrow. And then 1, 2, 3, and 4, as are in the order that you see them here. It's Preparation, Bladed Armor, Vengeance, and then of course my pet. Now what I do is I hold down space and my right click, I strafe, I fire off Hungering Arrows as need be to get that momentum up, and then I just hold down 1, 2, 3, and 4 at all times. And as you can see, they will reset themselves as I battle. And that's how I play. And then I just guide my character around. So 1, 2, 3, 4 are down, hold down the space bar, right mouse to get my strafe going, and then use my left mouse to launch my vengeance, or not my vengeance, my Hungering Arrow, sorry. This just keeps me going. As you can see, with this particular configuration, I am not having any issues with resources. So we're just going to whip through this real quick. I don't even know if I want to waste time picking up the death breaths or anything. I just want to be able to get me some rift stones so I can do a greater rift and show you how well it does in greater rifts. So let's whip through this real quick here. I can even bring up, we'll show you, the damage is ridiculous. We're doing over 4 million in damage. And as you can see, the toughness, it only sits at about 300 million. It's not a whole lot as far as the overall toughness goes. But the nice thing about it is that you have those shields. And those shields make a huge, huge difference because they'll absorb your damage. You don't get to see that as part of your toughness when you're viewing your stats. I'm not sure why it doesn't get added in that way. I'm going to guess it's because 3%, you're working off 3% of whatever the damage is that's being done to you, and you can't sit there and guess at what the exact damage is going to be since that's a random number based on your attacks. So, yeah, it is what it is. But, as you can see, I'm pretty much just kind of crushing this. We're more than halfway through it already, and I really haven't even tried anything. I know I said I wasn't going to pick anything up, but, you know, it's hard to ignore good stuff when you see it. So, boom, we just crushed all those. We'll go back, get that legendary. We'll go up and get some more death breaths. If all you're doing is farming, this build is great for farming. It's very fast, it's very quick. Everything just dies. This thing is great for area damage, point target damage. I think it's just a well-balanced build overall. That's how I like the builds. I like them to be balanced out between damage that I'm doing and damage that I'm taking. So I know there's the Augiled set can increase and do more damage. So can the Guardian set. The problem with those is while you're doing an increased damage, you're also taking a lot more damage. You end up being a lot more squishy, and I just don't feel like it's a good enough balance. And I feel like I'm dying more often than I care to. I do make it through the rifts in more than enough time to complete them. I just don't feel like it's a good balance for me. I have done a Greater Rift 120. I'm pushing on 121. And I did that with the Augiled set. But I died a lot getting there. And I just didn't like doing all that death. So we're going to go through here. We'll get rid of this stuff. There's nothing in here that I care to keep. I don't play these other builds with the shadows setup or the UE setup. I don't care for it. It's just not fun for me. Others may like it, but I like the God Demon Hunter. I think that's the best set in my personal opinion. So we'll do a couple of rifts here. So the first one I'm going to do is I'm going to do a Greater Rift 100 just to show you. I use 100 usually as my base testing for everything. I'm only going to even make it an empowered rift. I got enough money. And we're just going to go through and we're going to start killing stuff. So Greater Rift 100 with this particular setup, and we're just going to run through it, and I will probably complete this in under 3 minutes, as long as I get enough elites. Now, I'm not going to ignore the trash, but I'm also not going to focus on the trash. I do want to kill trash because trash does help build up your purple bar. You know, of course, we want to go for the purple orbs, but I am more than happy to kill trash, especially if I'm killing it fast, and just build that bar up that much quicker. Like I said, again, I don't focus on the trash, but I will kill it when it's in my way. And as you can see, this build is just, it's crushing. Look at that bar. That bar is just growing, growing, growing. And again, you know what? I did not even switch over. Now I'm using the Seethe and I'm using the Bat. So Seethe and Bat to keep my hatred regeneration going, because I forgot to switch it back to the Darkheart for more defense, and then the Wolf Companion for the increased damage. So probably could go through this a little bit faster if I were to switch those over. But as you can see, this is just, it's demolishing this. Then we get my orbs here. Let's go through this. There's another elite. All right, get the orbs. Stay away from them explosions. I don't even think I've touched a single pylon yet. And I probably won't. There's just no need to with this build at a Greater Rift 100. So, no pylons. And there you go. Greater Rift 100, 12 minutes, 42 seconds remaining. That means I completed it in 2 minutes and 38 seconds. A sub 3 minute. You can't beat that. That's going to get you your best stuff here. This is probably all going to be some really good stuff, really good levels on it. From my understanding, the faster you can get through the rifts, the better. You get better rewards for it that way. So keep that in mind. And this was an enhanced rift, right? We went ahead and told it, steal that 40 million. I got 59 billion, so I'm good to go. And we crushed it again in less than 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 38 seconds. We'll watch that little pop up. Oh, 2 minutes, 17 seconds. Even faster. My math was off. I don't know why I was thinking 100 when I should have been thinking 60. So probably, if spending a little bit more time on this, I could probably kill this in less than 2 minutes. I could probably beat a rift in less than 2 minutes. At 100 Greater Rift. We'll get our little extra Paragon point here. We've got the slow build on the Paragon, so what do we get here? Witch Doctor stuff, Natalia's Sight, Gears of Dreadland, okay, but it's not better than what I'm wearing, so I'm not going to worry about it. Focus, nope. I really would like to get a Primal Restraint. I believe it's what I need to go with my Primal Focus. That would be awesome. Didn't need any of that, so we're just going to keep the gems. We will crush everything else. All right, now let's push it. Let's go into our skills. We're going to change our Vengeance to Darkheart for more defense. We're going to change the pet to the Wolf for more damage. Make sure I have this saved set up in my armory this way. And then we're going to do a 115 and see what it does. 115. I'm not going to empower it. All right, now again, I'm just going to hold down 1, 2, 3, and 4, hold down my space bar, start my right clicks, and hold them down to get my strafing going, and then just click as many times as I need to get my momentum up. Now, got the momentum up, so now this is where I'm just going to be focusing on elites. This is a high level greater rift. We're at the 115, so this is much, much more difficult than that 100 that I did. As you can still see, that purple bar is moving. I'm ahead of the curve. So right here, we're just going to try to focus on the elites, killing the trash around it, using it hopefully to get some piercings and increase our hungering arrow damage so that we can take out the elites and the boss and get our little purple orbs. As you can see, my hatred regeneration is doing well. I'm not running out of resources. As long as I hold down 1, 2, 3, and 4, they will auto trigger. I know not everybody's keyboard works this way, but my keyboard that I'm using, it allows me to hold the keys down, and then when I use my attacks, it auto casts 1, 2, 3, and 4 for me, so I don't have to sit there and keep smacking the keys. I can just basically auto spam it this way. And we can just go through and kill everything. Now, I don't worry about whatever rift maps I get when I'm in a rift. I know there's a lot of people who, there are certain maps they don't like to play. They feel like you just don't get enough enemies, or the way the map works, there's just something that's considered junk about it. Me personally, I play what the game gives me. I don't sweat it. Whatever map I get is the map I get, and that's the map that I'm going to defeat. So right now we just want to try to stay out of that arcane, but stay on top of our elite here, because the more we can stay on top of the elite, the more the strafe is hitting them, the more hungering arrows it's auto firing for us. And then we don't have to worry too much about manually firing in order to maintain the hungering arrows. The strafe will take care of that for us, but keep in mind, strafe only fires a hungering arrow when it hits an enemy. It does not fire on a timing. It's not every 4 shots, every 6 seconds, or anything like that. Strafe only fires hungering arrow when it hits an enemy. I've seen some videos where people say, it's doing this every so many seconds. That's not how it works. You can sit there and fire strafe all day. If there's no enemies around you, no hungering arrows are going to shoot. So you want to kind of try to stay in as close as possible, but also stay just outside their range at the same time, if you can balance it, so that you can get those hungering arrows fired off every time a strafe hits an enemy. Now you can see here, I'm just going to be fighting him. I killed all of his elites first, so I got all 4 of the purple orbs. I'm going to take this guy out, and we're just going to move on. Now, you know what? I haven't touched a pylon yet. I'm not going to either. I am going to pull off this entire rift without using a single pylon. I think that is a good judge of just how strong a build is if you're not relying on the pylons to get through the rift, because they'll do nothing but help you, obviously, right? But in this case, I am testing the build strength itself as it is, without assistance from pylons of any kind. So no pylons, no shrines. We're just going to leave them alone, and we're going to defeat this rift all on our own. And as you can see, Greater Rift 100, and we are killing it. We are past the halfway point just about. We're just a little bit shy. I gotta find me no more elites in here, so let's move on. There we go. There we go. We're going to take out this trash. I'm going to stay back here with some of this trash. I want to try to get those pierces if I can. I'm not going to be reliant too much on them. He is doing enough damage even without the piercings, but Those piercings, they don't hurt any, they do help. So if you can manage it, you stay back a bit and try to get those pierces. Our gems are always proccing, always firing off. As you can see, I've got both my rings showing there above the skill bar, showing that they're firing off, they're triggering whenever I attack. So we're always getting that proc. The Bane of the Trapped is proccing at all times. So I don't need to be right on top or even have them in the range of the aura for Bane of the Trapped. I can make use of it when I'm in close. But I can also stay back because each one of my hits is stunning or chilling the enemy. So therefore still proccing Bane of the Trapped at all times. Of course, my Simplicity Strength is always being procced because it's procced off the primaries. It increases the damage to the primaries. And then, of course, Taiguk, as you can see, is just sitting there constantly staying at 10. So I'm getting the perfect 100% benefit out of that. Again, I am more than halfway done. We're 3/4 of the way done. We're ahead of the curve. The curve is at the halfway point, almost. So we may finish this just a little over 7 minutes. We'll see. We got enough elites and everybody right here that if I can kill them all fast enough, I can get a bunch of orbs popping all at once, and then we can have the... little too many. I was going to say we could have the Greater Rift Guardian showing up at any time. That's going to hurt the time, but that's okay. We're going to have to just play it a little differently here. Stay outside the range. There's a lot of freaking arcane going on here. A lot of freaking poison. Let's just stay outside their range. Come on. Come down here. Come down here. Come down here where I can circle you. If I can get them grouped up. Ooh. Stupid frozen orbs. We got a lot of guys here that's going to be putting a hurting on us. I need to get to where I can circle them and stay out of their attack range. So that way there, I can kill them a little bit more efficiently. I like to just make a big circle around them a lot of times if I can. Clockwise, counterclockwise, doesn't matter. If I could just stay outside their range, but I'm running into stuff that's in my way. There we go. There we go. Now we got it going. Oh, go back the other way. Getting those orbs. There's another orb. We're at 98%. We kill this one last guy, and that's it. Greater Rift Guardian is going to show up. We could have had less than the 7 minutes if I was able to stay outside their range a little bit better. But look how fast this Guardian's going down. Again, this whole time, I've done this without any shrines or pylons. If I'd have taken the shrines and pylons, I'd have been doing a lot better. So I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to do my counterclockwise attacks. Clockwise. And we're just going to go around him in circles. We're going to try to stay outside his range, but keep him within ours. And when he gets an attack in my way, I will go the other way. So he likes to shoot these freezing orbs. That's okay. I'm just going to do everything I can to avoid them. And there we go. Still had 5 minutes and 45 seconds remaining, so we beat it overall in 9 minutes and 15 seconds. That's pretty good for a Greater Rift 115. So there we go. Let's build up another couple of primaries here. I might be able to use these on my Barbarian. And I lost the extras. All right, so let's go back to town. We got another Mantle of Channeling. Maybe it'll be a better Mantle of Channeling. some little extra dexterity and stuff on it or something with cooldown. Let's see what we got there. Oh, it's only 23%. It does have better dexterity and vitality. Cooldown is at 7%, so it's pretty equal to what we've got. I just don't like that 23%. I'm going to keep it. We'll try to reforge it along with the other one we have. And we'll go from there. Ooh. A Hunter's Wrath. It'd be nice if it was primal. We can try to reforge it a few times, see what we get as primal. Maybe, maybe not. Keep that in mind. You can reforge legendaries and end up with primals. What you can't do is convert. Converting does not, if you do a convert set item, it does not end up as ancient. But reforging legendaries, you can reforge and end up with a legendary. Same as you can get, end up with a primal. Same as you can do the Kadalas, gamble, and also get primals there. So again, real quick, we'll just go over the setup. You want at least the 5-piece set of Gears of Dreadlands. You're going to sacrifice the shoulders in order to use the Mantle of Channeling. Then we're going to try to have Wraps of Clarity for our bracers. For our jewelry, you want to take the Squirt's Necklace. That's going to give you that 100% damage increase. Risking the 50% damage to yourself increase when you get hit, but hopefully your shields will balance that out from the Ballista Fortress here. You want to take the Hunter's Wrath belt, preferably if you can get a really good one that has 200% increased damage. That's what you're looking for. We want to take the Bastions of Will to get our 100% damage increase, 50 when we're using the Hungering Arrow, and a 50% increase when we're using the Strafing. And then, of course, we want to use a Dawn. You want to have as close to perfect cooldown on Dawn as possible. And then, of course, the Fortress Ballista here, where we're getting our shields, and we want that 3% Fortress Ballista. I know a lot of people tell you crit this, that, whatever. The biggest things for me that I find, since I'm using specific spells, is the things that I am most concerned about are cooldown reduction and critical hit chance. Those are the two big things that are pretty much standard across the board with just about any build that you do, with the exception to like a Paladin Thorn Satyr. He doesn't rely on critical hits at all. It's all physical damage, so it's more about Thorns increase there. But with this particular build, you do want to see how close you can get to at least a 50% critical hit chance, and then as close as you can get to at least a 35% or higher cooldown. Because if you can get a 65 on your Dawn, your 35 on everything else totaled is going to give you a perfect cooldown, and your Vengeance stays up 100% of the time. And then the rest of the spells that you're using, their cooldowns will be reduced by, of course, that same percentage, 40% reduction. If you want to do the math, it's like Preparation cooldown, it's real quick. Blade of Armor is real quick. The Wolf Companion, his 30 seconds pretty much disappears. You get him about every 20 seconds now, and he gives you that damage increase. So the other thing I'm doing that I haven't mentioned is I'm taking the Scoundrel as a follower. He gives me, it's not much, it's like 2.5-3% increase, so it's not a whole lot, but it's a 2.5 to 3% that matters because he gives me a critical hit chance increase. So if I were to get rid of the Scoundrel right now, this 49% critical hit chance will drop to roughly 47. That's the only reason I take the Scoundrel. Others may advise to give, the Sorceress for whatever reasons, and or the Templar because of health regeneration, things of that nature. But I want that critical hit chance because the more often I'm critical hitting, the more damage I'm doing. Look at my critical hit damage. It's at nearly a 500% damage increase. That's a lot of critical hit damage if you can crit. So I'm just shy of 50% critting. So basically, I'm right at that borderline of every other hit is a critical hit, doing a lot of damage with this build. So that's why I take the Scoundrel, so that I can get his critical hit. I believe it's this anatomy one, gives you the higher chance for the critical hit. It doesn't tell you. Oh, yeah, it does. Okay, so if you hold down control, the more often his skill is used or the higher it gets. We're currently sitting at a 3.72% increase to critical hit damage. That may not seem like a lot, but it makes a difference. So I'm not sure if these skills can go up any higher. As you can see, this sits at a 10. Everything else is at like a 20 or whatever, or 15. So I don't know if these are the max that these skills go to. And it's in that order of 5, 10, 15, and 20 is their levels, or if they go up with your Paragon levels one by one, they slowly go up. I'll have to look into that, but there may come a point in time where this switches over to a 4% or switches over to a 5%. And it just gives me that critical hit chance more often, which is all I really care about. So in the end, I'm putting a Yang's recurve on him. I don't know if that's helping with his multi-shot, if it benefits him in any way. I just needed to put something in there. Of course, I'm giving him the Ring of Royal Grandeur. Since the Ring of Royal Grandeur does work in conjunction with the Sage's Journey set, I'm going to say that the multi-shot attack is happening. I don't pay attention, but I'm guessing the Scoundrel's multi-shot attack is happening more often and is doing 192% increased damage. If Ring of Royal Grandeur works for the Scoundrel, then the multi-shot on Yang's recurve, its special, has to work as well, I would guess. Of course, I'm taking the Nemesis Bracer so that every time I do click on a pylon, I get an enemy champion. As you saw with that 115, I did not use a single pylon or shrine. So therefore, I was only hunting the naturally spawned elites and champions, as well as killing trash, and still completed that thing in a really good amount of time. So I use Augile's Rule on him just for something as a chest piece. As you can see, the belt is part of the Sage's Journey, so that's giving me double the amount of death breaths that drop when I'm in anything other than a Greater Rift. I also use the Cane set, so this way here I get more Rift Stones to use for the Greater Rifts. Otherwise, you only get like 2 to 3. With this set, I get 4 to 5 sometimes. So I'm okay with that. Plus, it gives the Scoundrel an increased attack speed and more experience. So all of that, I believe all of it emanates, or maybe it's only the 3-piece set that emanates. I'm not sure. But it is what it is. I use the Gloves of Worship on him so that my shrine effects when I'm in non-Greater Rifts will last much, much longer. If I choose to click on one, sometimes I just go through them so quick I don't worry about it. And then, of course, the Spalders of Zakara, so I'm not wasting money on repairing my stuff. And then, of course, I use the Flavor of Time because pylon effects will last twice as long as what they normally do. And that's just a pretty standard setup. So that's it, guys. That is the latest build for my God Demon Hunter. And again, I like to call it the Gears of Destruction. I think that's a much better name than Gears of Dreadlands, because I feel like he's just destroying everything. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give a like, give a subscribe, and then maybe you can come back for another video where you can sit a while and listen again. Thanks.